Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Markus Hofbauer and I am from the Chair of Media Technology at the Technical University of Munich. Today I will present our contribution on multi-view region of interest prediction for autonomous driving using semi-supervised labeling. Human attention is an important source of information in autonomous driving. The human visual perception defines the ground truth for many algorithms such as classification, object detection, or semantic segmentation. Further, it can be highly useful to know where a human would look at. This allows us to decide whether an analysis error in a specific part of the image is crucial for the current driving task or not. A missed pedestrian in front of the vehicle, for instance, is more critical than errors concerning building or trees in the background. A limitation of state-of-the-art region of interest prediction is that they usually focus only on a single front-view camera. However, autonomous vehicles are generally equipped with multiple cameras that cover the surroundings of the vehicle. This can be seen in the figure on the right. Here, 3 cameras are capturing the front view and 3 cameras are capturing the rear view. This brings us to the main contribution of this work. We extend region of interest prediction from this single front view to multiple views, such as shown on the right. There are already well-performing region of interest prediction models, so we use a state-of-the-art model as a baseline for our setup. The so far best performing network was trained on the Berkeley Deep Drive Attention dataset. In the following, we refer to this as BDDA for short. In contrast to object detection, obtaining the ground truth for attention is more complex. One possible approach is to use gaze maps for the detection of the ground truth. The authors of this paper use an average of gaze maps obtained from multiple users. Further, the humans observing the driving scenes should report critical situations. This so-called human weight sampling will put a higher focus on these critical situations. Then, for the attention prediction, the model gets an RGB image as input and extracts AlexNet features. The features are fed into a convolutional LSTM, which outputs the attention map. The image on the right shows an attention map with colored scale as overlay for the RGB input image. Red represents the highest attention, whereas blue is the lowest. The predicted attention for this image is on the pedestrian on the left, the truck in front, and the traffic light on top of the image. So the model already performs very well for the single front view it was trained for. However, for other views, the region of interest might be different. For instance, traffic lights are no longer important in the rear view. On the other hand, the area which is usually covered by the shoulder check gets highly important in the rear view. To address these issues, we suggest to fine-tune the existing BDDA model for multiple views. In order to extend the front view region of interest prediction model, or ROI for short, to multiple views, we require multi-view ROI ground truth data. So far, there is no multi-view ROI dataset. To this end, we created a dataset for the 6-camera setup that was shown at the beginning of this talk. The setup consists of 3 front view cameras and 3 rear view cameras. We recorded 13 sequences at different weather conditions in the color simulator. Every sequence is recorded at 10 Hz with a duration of about 10 seconds. All sequences were manually labeled to create the best possible ground truth. For this, we selected circles to define a region of interest, as this is the most simple geometric representation for such a region. The figure on the right shows a sample of all 6 camera views with ROI labels for a single timestamp in the dataset. In total, the resulting dataset consists now of about 16,000 images. Then we use this dataset to fine-tune the BDDA model for multiple views. As mentioned before, different views have different ROIs. The most notable difference is between the front views and the rear views. Whereas traffic lights and traffic signs are highly important in the front view, they become obsolete in the rear view. So we fine-tuned the BDDA model for these 2 different viewing directions. This can be seen in the figure on the right. The blue segments represent the camera views that belong to the front view model, whereas the orange segments belong to the rear view model. As we have 6 different camera views, in theory, also training for 6 different viewing directions would be possible. However, the difference between the different segments for front and rear views is not significant, so we just differentiate between the front and the rear view. With the fine-tuned models for front and rear view, we are now able to predict attention heat maps for multiple camera views. As our selected labels were circles, we also want to retain the circles from the model's output. For this, we added some post-processing steps. The entire process can be splitted into 4 parts. At first, we have the RGB input image, which is fed into the network. The network output is a ROI heat map as shown in the second figure. We filter the heat map to achieve a binary representation, and then we identify connected components from this binarized attention map. All components with an area below a certain threshold will be removed. Finally, the remaining components will be converted to circles while we keep the diameter of the shape. To improve the labeling process for fine-tuning the model on custom data, we additionally developed a pipeline for semi-supervised data annotation. At first, the current network predicts ROIs and generates the circular labels for all camera views. These generations are used as pseudo-label suggestions for the human inspector. Instead of labeling all data from scratch, the human just has to verify these model predictions. So in case, just remove some label suggestions or edit the positions. Further, all camera views showing the same scene are stacked in a larger image. The image stacking enables the human to better estimate the current situation at once. Seeing all views at the same time gives a better entire scene understanding than inspecting all views sequentially. After the human inspection step, the data are splitted back into the individual views. The individual views and labels can be used to fine-tune the model and improve the prediction for the next human inspection step. This allows for a fast labeling of one's driving data in order to fine-tune a customized multi-view region of interest prediction model. To evaluate our approach, we implemented 3 different fine-tuning strategies and compared them to the baseline BDDA model. For the ROI single approach, we fine-tuned the BDDA model with all manually labeled data together. The ROI multi-2 is based on the ROI single, which we fine-tuned again with the manually labeled data, but this time we fine-tuned 2 separate models, either just with the front view data or the rear view data. This results in a higher weight for the specific viewing direction, so front or rear. The ROI multi-1 model was fine-tuned in a single step with all labeled data and a doubled weight for either the front view or the rear view. Again, this results in 2 separate models for the front view and the rear view. In summary, we have 1 BDDA and 1 ROI single model, which is evaluated for all views, and 2 separate models for the front and rear view of ROI multi-1 and ROI multi-2. For the results, we analyzed the mean absolute error for the 6 camera views and 3 fine-tuning strategies and compared them to the baseline BDDA model. The results suggest that the BDDA model already performs very well for the single straight front view. However, the other views, especially the rear views, show a big potential for improvements. It can be seen that especially the ROI multi approaches, which use the specialized models for the front and rear views, show the best results in terms of the lowest mean absolute error. For instance, the mean average error for the rear right view could be reduced from almost 10% to less than 3% using the ROI multi-1 strategy. This brings us to the conclusion of this talk. We addressed the problem of region of interest prediction for autonomous driving. Whereas the state of the art is mainly focused on a single front view, we proposed a concept to extend this to multi-view. For this, we created a manually labeled dataset including multiple views. Then we used this dataset to fine-tune the best state-of-the-art model. We achieved the best improvements when fine-tuning two separate models, one focusing on the front view and one on the rear view. Especially for the rear view, the improvements compared to the state-of-the-art model are promising. This paper addresses the problem of region of interest prediction for autonomous driving, including multiple camera views. We extended existing ROI prediction to multi-view using specialized models for front and rear views. For this, we recorded and manually labeled a dataset named MVROI. To allow other users for training their own multi-view prediction models with their own data, we implemented a semi-supervised annotation framework for a faster training data generation. More details are available in the paper, and we welcome collaboration. Both the dataset and the code are publicly available. If you have ideas or feedback, feel free to visit our website.